So it's pretty much the same thing as Dad. The orders might be different, but it's all the same questions. Do the research paper on our family and if we're immigrants and, just trying to relate everything together.
Yep.
So, can you please state your full name?
Karla Hua Sibayan.
You can do your maiden name too if you want to.
That's not my name?
Okay. So, where were you born?
I was born in California, Los Angeles, California, August 8, 1973.
Do you know Papa and Granny's full names?
My dad is Patrick Leo Adrian Kahawai Ola'a, and my mom is Raynette Nina Ala Ka'anapu Kahawai Ola'a.
So what do they do for a living?
Well, my dad, I understand, for the good part of my life, since it was 32 years of his life, was a postman, mailman, postal carrier, however you want to phrase it. What I can remember of my mom was she had a lot of jobs, a lot of odd jobs. Data processing was one I remember. And what it is, no idea. Just remember she used to come home with these cards that used to have all these little holes in them.
Oh, yeah.
And she just brought them home just because. I don't know. She did. I know she worked at CBS.
The TV station?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yep. She was they call a page, which would be like an usher.
Oh, okay.
But she worked on The Price is Right.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so if you ever watch the show and when the people are running down the aisle or whatever, you'll see somebody standing in the corner with like a jacket on.
Oh,
or a
right,
vest
like
or whatever.
security.
So it's kind of like an usher, but
right.
It was called a page at the time, and that's what she did. She also worked at Vandy Camps, which you would know, the pork and beans company.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I don't
really?
know if she actually canned or what she did. I just know that she worked there. And then, yeah, that was me growing up. So I always remembered that she worked during the day, she would come home for dinner, and then she'd work a nighttime job. So Papa was always home with us nighttime. And then when we moved here, she worked 20 years at Helco.
So, Papa and Granny were both born in the U.S., right?
Yeah.
But do you know of anything past Papa and Granny that maybe we weren't born in the U.S., we came here? Or everybody's... Because from what Papa told me, his mom and dad are from the islands.
Yeah.
Or from Maui and Kauai.
Yep.
But do you know about Granny? Because I remember him talking about some Japanese thing for Granny.
So, Granny's great-grandfather. So it would be 4 to you, I think.
Okay.
4 great-grandfather. You remember the story he told us about the abacus at Bishop Museum?
Right.
So that is Grand's great-grandfather, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Who came over from Japan.
Mm-hmm.
What part of Japan, I'm not sure. Came over from Japan.
Thank you.
And, just the boom of the time, that we all know in our Hawaiian history. The immigrants coming over for work, sugar plantations, so that Hawaii sugar industry at the time could grow.
Right.
Yeah. So why, if that's exactly why he came over, not sure.
Oh, okay.
But what I remember Papa saying, it was either him or another gentleman that had a book of about 400 names of families that came over with him at the same time. And that abacus was kind of one of the last possessions they had
On this
on them, you know, when they came over. Yeah, because basically when you're emigrating,
you can't really bring
you don't
all
have
things.
you don't. That's what they all say. You don't have possessions. You just have the clothes on your back or whatever. You don't even have money, right?
Right.
So your hope is to come here, find a job, get paid, do whatever you need to do.
Why you brought an abacus?
Yeah, you know why an abacus?
Yeah.
And then there's a way as to how it was obtained by the Bishop Museum, you know,
That
which is another layer of that immigrant history, I guess you could say.
Right.
You know, so yeah.
Do you
so
know
that's your I believe your 4 great grandfather.
From granny's side, right?
From granny's side. Okay. Yeah.
So do you know what it was like growing up
for them?
For Papa and Granny, yeah, before, or for Granny, because I know Papa's side already. And then, you know, whatever she told you, and then after you were born.
Papa didn't get into it, or you didn't ask him about it?
No, because I just kind of wanted to know his.
Well, because Papa...
I know Papa spent most of his life with Granny. He knows
everything. No, right. You tend to know everything where...
Right.
He could...
But I wanted to see if you know, because I have to interview 3 people.
Yeah, true, but, I would guess that it's similar to the way I grew up, where her mother worked hard, taking care of the house.
Were they both Japanese, or?
Actually, Grandma is full Hawaiian.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Grandma is full Hawaiian. Grandpa, Hawaiian Japanese, I believe.
So my great, right? Because your grandparents would be my great grandparents.
Yeah. No, Grandma was full Hawaiian.
Did Uncle and Auntie meet them? Did you meet them?
Yes. You were 2 months old when Grandpa Karla passed away. So they sort of met you.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I had just had you, and I had just gone back to work, so I couldn't. I had already been gone for 2 months from work when he passed away.
Oh wow.
Grandpa passed away. So.
What about Grandma?
I met her. I have some memories of her. Kind of like Dad's Tutu's house is just old house, rickety plantation that was raised, so it was post and piers where underneath was the shower and underneath was the washer dryer and underneath hang your clothes and all of that, up on a hill in a Papakolea Hawaiian homestead.
Oh wow.
On Oahu. Yeah, I only have small memories of her because I was 8 years old when I moved here from California. And I only have, so in that 8 years, I only have a memory of coming to Hawaii to visit the grandparents. So you know how people will say, oh, I get to go to my grandparents' house for the summer because they live away or whatever it is. I only have like one memory. She kind of looked like, she always kind of reminded me of Auntie Momi on Papa's side. You know, real dark skinned Hawaiian lady. Always like the beehive.
Yeah.
But I just remember Grandpa being just a real stoic gentleman. Nahinabata. Kind of like Papa. He just sit at the table.
Granny, actually.
Sit at the table. No necessarily really speak unless spoken to, kind of thing.
Right.
But my greatest memory of him is him always smoking cigars, White Owl cigars.
Like fat one?
No, they were a little bigger than a cigarette, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, like the little
kind of thin ones.
Yeah.
It didn't have a smoke smell to it. It had almost a sweet smell to it. So that's why I always liked it when he did it, when he smoked it. And then the old shoji screens at the between the kitchen and the living room. But came through. He worked hard. I cannot remember what, but I know he was still driving. He died at 94.
Mm-hmm.
So he was still driving in his late 80s and early 90s. And in Honolulu traffic, you know.
Right.
It's not as bad. It wasn't as bad as it is now, but it was still existed. Honolulu traffic.
Mm-hmm.
An old Ford. I don't think I really know. I mean, like I said, same way I grew up. So rules to follow, you know. Like Dad said, you do what you are told. Question or answer back or anything. You just do. I think Gran was the same way because I think my grandma was the same way. That's what I kind of remember about her. You never, even though we were the kids, we still had, we couldn't be animals in the house, which is what everybody wants. But you know how some grandparents, they don't really, doesn't necessarily mind. But, and maybe because we were from California, I don't know if they held any kind of grudge. Because Granny moved to the mainland and basically lived her whole life on the mainland away from them. I don't know if...
She was born here, right?
Granny.
Yeah.
She was born in Honolulu,
right.
Yeah. But I don't know if when she had like Auntie Kim, if they traveled back to visit.
Oh.
And then when they had Uncle Cleo, they traveled back. I just know that when they had me, I traveled. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when.
But is it, did they bring Auntie Kim when he had her? How did they? I don't know. Yeah. But I think it's just the traditional,
Right.
Children are to be seen and not to be heard kind of thing.
So so Granny guys is technically immigrant side, right? Do you know what it was like, being around other ethnicities, I guess, how their relationship was,
honestly, I don't think they knew really, because like I said, they lived in the homestead, so it was only Hawaiians that they were around, and that particular neighborhood or that where the house is built, I don't know that it was conducive to meeting other nationalities because of the hilly terrain that they lived under. I know there's like this community center kind of right down the road from Grandpa's house, but the surrounding neighborhoods, I think, were still Hawaiian, majority Hawaiian.
Right. So do you know how they came here? Like why, besides just wanting to come here, like for jobs or whatever?
No, that's why I said I don't even know if that was the reason why they came.
Right.
I just know that, and we have to do some more digging, but I know that Grandpa had to change his name.
Oh, what?
Because his name was Sakuma. That's the name he came over with. But Ka'anapu was not. It was changed to Ka'anapu, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
But like I said, we can just ask Papa.
Right.
How that happened. I just remember that because the whole thing with the abacus and writing the names, and what I remember studying in class.
Right.
Is that a lot of people change their names because of land ownership. You weren't able to own land if you weren't a Hawaiian citizen.
Oh, okay.
So the quickest way, I guess, to say that you're a Hawaiian citizen without actually giving blood and having it tested, because they never have that kind of stuff back then,
right,
was to just change your name to some Hawaiian name. So that's what I found interesting, was because of that whole thing with land ownership. It all came down to land ownership and political power.
Right.
So also to give them the voice, or the dwindling Hawaiians, the native Maoli Kanakas.
Right.
the more Hawaiian citizens they had on their side, the better chance they had for voting purposes and whatnot.
So did they? Do you know if they like came here like on their own? Thank you. Or if somebody just like, oh, we should just go, like, if it was a personal decision, or
right, or if there was something happening back
right.
home that I don't know.
So did did your grandma and grandpa meet when they were on Oahu, or did they meet like? And if they did meet before, then did they come together? Which is obviously.
I guess I would want to say that they met on Oahu when my grandpa's family came over.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would think.
Did they ever come to the Big Island, or they just stayed on Oahu?
They just stayed on Oahu. My understanding, because when we finally moved home in '81.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think grandma died. I think grandma died in the maybe later 80s, if not. No, wait. Thinking back. Because I went to her funeral. So I was in high school, so I want to say it's like maybe like the later 80s. Later 80s. So when I first started high school, I think is when she passed away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were they waiting for family here? Like, was there somebody waiting here for them, or did they just came?
I don't think so. I think they just
started everything
and just came over and just hoped for the best, I guess.
Right. Did they know anybody at least? Did they live close to anybody they knew, or they just?
I don't think so.
Started over completely.
I think so. Yeah.
Where did they go? Do you know where they stayed? Like where they lived and stuff?
No, I wouldn't know that.
Do you know if it would be country or city at least?
I would think it would at least be country. Because I would think at that time, Honolulu wasn't even or Oahu, or Hawaii, I guess, wasn't even a state.
Right, that's what
so it was a territory, so I would think it would be more country than anything else.
Did they have other friends of different ethnicities?
I don't know. Maybe, because I guess in the high school, I guess that's where you would have, maybe even with Granny too, maybe that's where she would have had her melding of heritage.
Right.
Would be going to school. She went to Roosevelt. And Roosevelt, I guess, is in the vicinity. I'm not sure. In the district of why she went to Roosevelt. But it must be because they all went. Everybody went.
Right.
But then even Justin went too, so I'm not sure where they were living. They definitely weren't living in Papakolea.
Right.
But that's where I would think the most of the cultural exchange would have happened. It would have been at school.
So do you know if they, I mean, obviously this is like a no-brainer, but do you know if they experienced any type of like racial discrimination?
Well,
I mean, everybody goes through that, but do you know if they...
Just say no, though.
Right.
It depends on the level, I think.
Okay.
Because I think like you said, no brainer. I guess back then, yeah. But I think the level is where the difference is.
Right. It wasn't as bad.
Because reading that, I can't remember if it was Liho Liho that had did a journey, and they were on a train, and even though they were recognized as ali'i, they were still what's that word? They still had racist experiences because of them being dark skin.
Right.
Everybody understood that they were ali'i and they knew it,
right.
But they said still, but because he's black, he shouldn't be sitting in this seat.
Oh, okay.
You know, so even way back then,
Right.
as I said, that level. And that's why even for, you know, at that time, racism didn't even have a name.
Oh, really?
Yet that's how they were treated. I know you're an ali'i, but because your skin is darker than mine, you don't deserve to be sitting here.
Right.
You need to be over there. Is what, pretty much what it was. But there
Right.
was no title for how that treatment was, what that was. So
Right.
that's where it was like. So I think, yeah, racism happens every day. I think, no matter what the time you're in, time period.
Right.
I think there's just a level of where it's, you know, because like you said, things like that. Okay, it sucks when it gets into a physical altercation of some level. That's when it's a pretty bad thing.
So, did they have any traditions or practices that they kept, and you know, Papa and Granny gave to you?
Not that I'm.
Thank you.
Not that I know of. I don't think so.
Anything like simple?
Probably the cooking, if anything. Probably just the food, because I think those would be the only traditions really that everybody has.
Right.
Some member in some family cooks.
Right.
So that's probably, and that's pretty much how a lot of our food was created. You know, that's why bento boxes exist now.
Right.
Because of, what are you eating? What, you know, if I'm only eating rice and you're only eating this, and we're going to share, then we're going to share with somebody else, and then that's what created basically the bento box.
Right.
You know, that we understand it as now. But yeah, so that's all I can think of.
Do you know what they saw as far as their identity, like who they were coming here, and what they wanted to be? I guess do you know what I mean? Like.
No, I don't think they wanted to be anybody but themselves.
Right.
So just whatever cultures they grew up with or were raised with, that's what they brought, and that's what they were going to perpetuate.
Right. Thank you. So, do you know what they saw here when they moved here, besides, you know, jobs and starting over? Do you know what made them want to come to Hawaii and not go somewhere else?
I think because Hawaii is the center of it all, as far as the Pacific Ocean is concerned.
Right.
It was basically the first landmass they came across. So that was, let's just go there.
Oh, because they were immigrants, right?
Yeah. They probably didn't know anything else. It could be they just decided to just go straight and stay straight.
Right.
You know, and they ended up in Hawaii.
So, what kind of changes have you seen in your lifetime? You know, because you and Papa and Granny have been through like different eras at this point. So, what type of changes have you seen, like personally, or you know, in other people, or you know, in general?
I think the understanding has changed quite a bit. So coming off of my classes from last semester about, you know, right now there's this resurgence of taking care of the Aina and, you know, stop putting observatories on our mountains and things like that. In the 80s, it was a similar ideas about bombing Kaho'olawe. You know, same idea. It's not your land to be desecrating that way.
Right.
You know, there's a reason why it's here. There's a reason why it exists. It's not to drop bombs on.
Right.
Or build observatories on. There obviously, with all this technology that is out there, there has to be another way to see the stars. Yeah. Or to have that education, or even to, you know, bombs are destructive on all levels.
Right.
Why are we continuing now? And then in the 70s, it was our language. Yeah, our language was dying. So that resurgence of getting people to learn their mother tongue again,
Right.
if at all.
Mm.
You know, which is where I am at. You know, just because I'm Hawaiian, everybody assumes I know everything.
Right.
Well, what does this mean in Hawaiian, or what does that word mean in English? It's like, you know, I'm just as, not to use ignorant, but I'm just as ignorant as you because I never learned.
Right.
My parents didn't feel either way about it. We just never learned it.
Right.
We were living in the mainland. We were living in California in the 60s and 70s.
Right.
So who speaks Hawaiian in California in the 60s and 70s?
Right.
You know? It was never about anything except just adapting to the environment that you're in.
Right. So what was the most important and meaningful event or experience that they had in their life, or you had with them? Any type of experience that was like important.
I really don't have much memories, you know, being so young.
Mm.
And they're passing while I was young.
Right.
You know, I mean, I wasn't young when Grandpa passed away, but
Did they teach you anything that meant something, like that changed your perspective on something?
not necessarily. I don't think.
What about Papa and Granny?
Not really. Only because I think that's one thing in that generation, Grandpa and Grandma's generation, to Papa and Granny's generation, to our generation, to me now.
Right.
They didn't talk much, share with each other, with the family, with the kids, because again, kids were the same way, to be seen and not heard kind of thing. So, and that's why this is kind of tough for me, because we didn't talk.
Right.
We need to talk.
Yeah.
We need to hurry up and talk, because, you know, Papa's not gonna live forever as much as we want him to. He's not gonna live forever. So we gotta get the information now, because it's good. When he's gone, it's gone. Yeah.
Everything he knows.
Everything he knows is gonna be gone, and so we gotta get it down. We gotta document it. And Kanoi and I were trying to work on something years ago.
Right.
We maybe gotta bring it back again to do a repository of genealogies of anybody that wanted to contribute into this thing.
Right.
So, of course, we were going to start with Kilkaha because of all the families that were there. Because the families that were there when we were growing up don't exist
We kind
anymore.
of originate from there, right?
They don't exist. A lot of them don't exist there anymore, which is sad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we used to know everybody that lived in every house on every street.
Right.
But now there's like double the streets
right.
and double the houses and totally new families.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Hawaiian, okay, great, but we don't know who they are because you guys not grew up with us and we was there, you know, kind of thing. So I think what I've learned, and that's what I try to do with you and your brother, is to do the communication. Yeah, we're going to talk to you and we're going to have conversations about anything going on because we need to know what's going on. Today, in 2017, we cannot not know things already at this point.
Right.
Yeah. So if something's going on with you, your brother, whoever, we need to know.
Right.
As just one sheer sign of responsibility, if nothing else. You know, I'm your parent. I need to know what's going on.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So is that what you learned from Papa and Granny?
I
guess
to talk
so. More?
I guess so.
To try and get to know each other more?
Because I didn't have that with them. I didn't want that to happen with us.
Right.
You know? Especially with now that our family is even bigger because of, you know, the kids that we have among us, you know, because of his kids and my kid, you know, that we have separately.
Right.
You know, that adds to your tree now, yeah? So even more so now, you gotta really get it all down.
Right.
Because
before it's all completely lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you don't want to, God forbid, in the future,
forget who I am totally.
Not really that. You just don't want to cross those lines, you know.
Not knowing your family.
What if you miss something and your child begins a relationship with your sister's child,
Right.
kind of thing, without knowing. Yeah, she's your half sister.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so without knowing that you guys were related, these two kids make a connection, and it's like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be all, you know,
Yeah, right.
all that kind of stuff.
We wouldn't
so.
know that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, last question. Is there anything that you would like to add to the interview? Anything about our family or, you know, anything in general?
I mean, I guess because of who your papa is, the best thing I could contribute, if I can contribute anything, would be, you know, to really get out there and learn about an issue or a subject or a topic of some sort that interests you. Go and learn it. You know, don't just jump on the protest wagon because everybody else is doing it. Like, you know, the mountain. Yeah, I totally understand why it is a sacred space for us.
Right.
But I can also understand, like Papa said, the education side of it too. Okay, we don't build a new observatory,
The bigger
or
values
new
to it.
telescope, but let's use the ones that are there. You know, it's already there. We can't change the fact that it's there.
Right.
We're probably going to do more damage to the land if we try to break it down and bring it back down the mountain.
Right.
But let's use it. It doesn't have to be 30 millimeters, you know? Whatever it is now, let it be, and then just beef up the technology.
Right.
So that's what for me, I think all of us has a responsibility to learn about an issue or a topic before we jump on it.
Right.
You know? Because I personally believe that somehow, you know, everybody's talking about the illegal overthrow, and the more I sat in class, the more I just kind of wondered, there had to have been, and maybe I'm just a conspiracy theorist, that it had to be an inside job of
At least I
some
know
sort.
where I get it from.
Was it Kamehameha the first one to bring the white man here?
Not necessarily bring them
He
here.
was the first one
but
to
he
meet one, I guess.
He didn't necessarily shoo them away either.
Right.
You know, he was intrigued by their guns and those types of things. Like, you know, it's the technology, yeah? Oh, you mean I can shoot a pig versus spirit him?
Yeah.
You know, I don't have to run after him to spirit him. You know, those kinds of things. And he was just intrigued by what they could bring. You know, not knowing the disease they brought with them. And it's not like they brought the disease on purpose.
Right.
You know, it's just the way that they lived there, and they, you know.
Right.
So, Lili Okalani giving her authority to, I keep getting this messed up, Cleveland, I believe it was the president at the time.
Wasn't that the one that supported
Giving
her?
him so giving him the authority to speak on her behalf, but he never got that message. So it seemed as if
Somebody inside jumped the message.
yeah, that to me, that's what I see.
Right.
Because how and the thing is, how was he supposed to get the message, right?
Right.
How do you do it? By pigeons? By, I mean,
They had, yeah.
I think they must have had telegraph or something, but
Right.
you know,
So adding to the mainland.
something as simple.
Yeah.
Because was he on a ship? Ryan's gonna kill me for not knowing all this. And we just went over it, but it's that kind of thing. So when that happened, and then he showed all this stuff about all these treaties we had with all these, we still have
Right.
that are still understood by all these different countries, European countries. That proves, per international law, that Hawaii could not have been an occupied territory. Because all, you know, so it was just kind of like mush in my brain or by the end of the semester, but there's some reasons why, you know, that it didn't happen. So how illegal is it?
Right. So
But I can't change what happened hundreds
Right.
of years ago, you know, because what is this? There's obviously an untold story.
There's always
that
more to something, yeah.
Some child at the time, I think he came across, didn't say anything about it, because at this point, all the children were now being educated.
Right.
Yeah, the beginning of Kamehameha schools.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the royal school. All these kids were coming to this.
But what this was
to
only
this
wasn't this
school.
only for royal kids at first?
That's what it was.
Only to people of the royal family or
Yes.
whatever. Yeah.
But then it sort of, once the royal blood started thinning out, it became,
Which ended with Hawaii. Yeah.
now it's a school,
Right.
right? Any child can attend this
Any
school
child
now.
of Hawaiian blood. Yeah.
Yeah, of Hawaiian blood. You don't have to be Ali. You just
Right.
gotta get
Just
Hawaiian
have
blood.
yeah.
All this educated kids, somebody had to question something somewhere. So I keep thinking there's gonna be a journal of some sort that's gonna pop up. This kid was writing in his bed one night, just asking why. Because again, it's all an inside job. Like how we were talking about 9/11, same thing. I think it was an inside job. It only took one person to get paid off in some way to
Right.
let these guys on the plane. You know, to let these people. You know, not even that plane, was all these planes.
Right.
Because how mysteriously do we have bombers on a plane when we have all this great security that you gotta take your shoes off for? You know, you can't even carry a fork. Yet somehow these guys can walk on with bombs on their body. Come on. It was an inside job. Totally was. Especially because they went to specific sites, you know, like the Twin Towers, like the Pentagon, you know, and all those other things. It
Right.
just sucks that all these people had to give their lives because of it. But again, I can't change it. We can't change it. How do we prevent that from happening? I don't know. Maybe it's educating our kids a little bit more about tolerance for each other. Because kids, little ones, they don't mind. They don't care that you're black or white.
Right.
It's
'Cause
when
they
start
kinda
getting older
understand,
and
yeah.
they can understand that, oh, my mommy says that people with black skin are not good people. My mommy, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's where it all comes from. And until people understand that, we're always going to have that kind of issues.
Okay. Thank you.
17 Miss Rock.